Welcome back to another episode of our message recap, the show where we're going to recap the last message in this series, Preventative Maintenance. And you were all super jazzed and excited going into this weekend. Mm-hmm. You couldn't wait to talk about it.
Those of you that watched it probably or were here, maybe not as excited as I was, but
well,
it's my favorite thing to talk about.
So we talked about mission maintenance. And for those of you that hear mission, we're talking about our mission, drawing people into a growing relationship with God through Jesus Christ, and how that needs some maintenance. That mission of ours needs some maintenance.
I could talk about the mission every day.
Yeah,
I could. Like that's my thing. So, I was super excited.
Okay, sweet.
So recap.
Yeah. So recap it.
So again, if you haven't watched it yet, or you weren't here on Sunday, kind of the general overall impetus behind this message was, I just see the church in America declining, and the church in our community declining. And unfortunately, I even see some warning signs of that in our very own church as well. And we've seen in all these different other areas of life, and we've all heard about a bunch of other ones we didn't even cover, but how preventative maintenance is important. And I just think we overlook the church side of that. We just assume the church is going to be around. It's always going to be there. If I don't do anything, if I don't go to church, if I don't give to church, if I don't invite, if I don't serve, I don't do anything for 2 years. Well, when I decide that I want to come back, or when a tragedy strikes my life, I just expect the doors to be open and it's going to be there in the church to serve me. And that ain't going to happen. There you go.
Yeah.
What guarantees that the church is going to be there when you need it?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want to get into this in the message because it didn't have anything to do with it, but this is a great time. Jesus promised that nothing was going to overcome his church, that his church was going to always be around. But I personally don't believe that's a guarantee for this church, the church in America, that it's going to be this movement or this place that we can go, or that we can experience all the great things that church does.
Yeah.
No, I don't read any of that into what Jesus said.
I think too, when Jesus said the gates of hell will not prevail against it or win over it. I think we all know through church history, just through history, no matter how culture gets bad and the church always survives. It usually gets stronger the more, kind of trouble it's in, the stronger it gets. But the biggest danger for the church being destroyed is not from the outside. It's from the inside. It is the Christian that will let the church die, or even, you didn't talk about it all, but destroy the church through divisions and things like that. But, I know
this one was really just a complacency issue.
Yeah, it's a complacency
more than anything else.
More than anything, an urgency issue. I do think, though, for years and years and years, Christians haven't saw the value of the local church as much as they saw missionaries. It's one of the reasons why we've talked about for years not wanting other organizations to come into the church to take an offering, because for some reason people think, we used to say, when Teen Challenge comes in, they're going to get a $5,000 offering. Why would people be willing to give $5,000 extra over and above to Teen Challenge to pay their light bills?
Probably not over and above.
Okay, not over and above, yes. The point is, I think generally Christians don't see the value. Oh, I see the value in a rescue mission. I see the value in a soup kitchen. I see the value, but I don't really see that much value in the local church. Like, the local church is the pillar and foundation of all of this stuff. And you got to admit, the Christian, you and I, don't always see that value. And you took a very positive approach. What would I be willing to do, to make sure the church survives? Mm-hmm. I think the reverse approach is, how would it affect me if the church wasn't here? And I think most Christians who don't go to church, most Christians who aren't engaged, who aren't involved, who don't do those 5 things on the list.
Or how about this one? What am I currently doing that's hurting the church?
Or hurting the church. I think a lot of people, though, really feel like,
the opposite of any of those 5 things.
If the
not
church,
attending, not praying, not serving, not giving.
They're not. If the church went away, it wouldn't really bother me. I'm close to God. You have no idea.
False.
If the church went away, America would be a different place in 2 or 3 months is all it would take. It is what's holding back the evil in our world. And when the church stops holding that back, the flood's coming in. There's nothing you can do about it. It really is.
On top of that, I just personally get frustrated when people, I can be close to God on my own. I just want to scream like bull crap.
Well, that sounds pretty selfish actually, but
yeah. But on top of that, I'm not sure that I've ever run into anybody who stays close to God and connected to him on their own. And then on top of that, if you are close to God and connected to him, don't you care about the mission and reaching others and encouraging one another and all the things that he's, and like, I don't know. I just think it's an excuse.
I'm probably one step more, I guess, aggressive on that with when people do tell me, and if you've told me this, hundreds of people have told me this who don't go to church. Yeah, but Kevin, I am really close to God. In my head, I say BS, because if you were close to God, now listen, this is a litmus test. If you're close to God, when you care about the things that God cares about the most, how can you be close to somebody and not care about what they care about? You're not close. Because I know what, I don't know how you could make this more clear, that God refers to the church as his bride, I mean, the church is the most valuable thing that God has. And God loves, John, in the gospel writer of John later writes some epistles who says the same thing. How can you say you love God when you don't love God's people?
Yeah.
Like, how can you're fooling yourself,
Oh gosh, we didn't even get into the whole bride aspect.
Right. We go down the whole
imagery that comes up with that.
Yeah.
Could you do a whole series called Mission Maintenance?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I could do the next 5 years on mission maintenance every week, without a doubt. Without a doubt, it is. Yep.
And I don't think it's intended to condemn or shame or
no,
but it's kind of a wake up call of like
very much. I want it to be a wake up call.
Yeah.
Like, do you realize what's happening?
Yeah.
The church is going down. The church in our country, for sure, Christianity's influence in our country is going down on our watch. And really, I mean, I said it a couple times in the message, which is, do you care?
Yeah.
Do you care or not? Like, that's what it comes down to. So I don't know. I
know about 2 or 3 years ago, when I was the lead pastor, meeting with all the other pastors in this community, I actually asked them, what was their attendance 10 years ago? What is it today? Every one of them. And just figured out simple math. If you stay on the same trajectory that you did the last decade, do you realize that none of these churches will be here the next decade? The same trajectory. In other words, what happened the last 10 years, if that happens the next 10 years, there will be nobody left in your church. And that was just mathematical fact.
That's not culture and complacency and all those other
things that are hurting that
that
number.
are accelerating that downward trend. Yeah.
I think about it right in our own community. We have churches. I mean, we're bummed out if we have 250 people come on a Sunday, which is ridiculous. A community of 12,000 people, 10 to 12,000 people.
Yeah.
There's other churches in our community. I mean, and I'm not making fun of them. I'm just trying to do what you're doing, just shaking up the Christians. They come together and they meet together on a Sunday morning. There's 13 of them. Like, come on, man, is that...
We ought to be more powerful than this.
Yeah, is that making a difference? Is that, we're not here just to kumbaya. Yep. We're here together to do what God's asked us to do. He's asked us to do very few things. I think we could all be lumped into one thing. 2, spend time with him and reach others. The best statement, there were 2.
Oh.
And if you haven't seen this yet, I want you to watch for it and then push replay again and again and again.
And watch it again.
There's two statements that I wish none of us would let go of our mind at all. Okay. And the one, which was just blaringly obvious, was that this is God's plan A, to reach the lost.
Oh boy.
And there is no plan B.
Mm-hmm.
There is no plan B.
Mm-hmm.
And the other statement was this. This list of things has nothing to do with us going to heaven. You know, this attend, pray, serve, give, and share has nothing to do with us going to heaven. Get it? That's where the selfishness comes in. You know, like, I don't have to do all this stuff to go to heaven. You're right. You don't have to do anything that go to heaven. But it has everything to, listen again. You want to say it again? It has everything to do with others going to heaven. Do you get that? Mm-hmm. Do you get that? This movement, not just me off on my own, you know, it's this movement has everything to do with another person in our community going to heaven.
How much do you have to hate someone to not share the message of Jesus with them?
Penn Jillette.
I kind of view it as like those questionnaires where depending on your answer, it takes you a different direction.
Oh, yeah.
You can look at it as like, this is God's plan A. There is no other plan. Do you care about it? Yes or no? Yeah. No? Oh, okay, you're done. Yes? Okay, well, what are you doing? Oh, you're doing this? Well, when are you doing it?
No is not you're done. No leads to more people go to hell.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, but here, let's get right down to each one of us being honest with ourselves. You asked that question. I'm not sure we answer it.
Honestly?
We're so good at lying to ourselves. I mean, we are. We're just so good at lying to ourselves. Yeah. We're so good at... I think this is where Jesus said hot or cold kind of a thing. I think Jesus, God, our Father in heaven, if you're a Christian, would rather you be honest with yourself and tell others, no, I don't care about other people going to hell. No, I don't care if the church comes or goes because I'm fine. Just be honest with it, because couldn't we move on faster and quicker if we were just honest? Say, no, I don't care.
Yep. Right.
Oh,
that's Ross.
We got Ross up
That's
here
Ross. Again. Okay.
Well, I mean, you could say, well, yeah, I mean, I care. Okay.
I mean, he said it best.
Ross will be doing the message next week.
I wish everybody could hear what you're saying.
There's a PC version and then there's a Ross version.
Yep. Get that guy a mic.
Yep.
Oh boy. But I mean, somebody could say, well, no, I care. What are you doing about it?
You can look at the things that I care about in my life and you can trace my time and my energy and my money and how much I think about it and how much I talk about it. Like you can look at my bank account and see what I care about.
See what you value.
You can look at my life, and even if you don't know me, if you've never talked, you would be able to tell he values this, he cares about this, he's invested in this. The same thing is true of Christians. Mm-hmm. We can tell, not we, us three, we can see in each other, and God even better than that, what we care about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wish we would all be more passionate about the mission. Like, I just can't even imagine saying no to God after everything he's done for me. Like, I can't imagine. I didn't deserve it, still don't deserve it, will never deserve it, fail him daily, don't spend as much time with him, don't worship him as much as he should. Like, all these different things. And yet he still chose, out of his love and own goodwill, to send Jesus to rescue me. And like, to me, it would just seem like the biggest F you to God to be like, well, thanks for me. Don't care about anything you want. Don't care about being connected to your heart. Don't care about like the one thing that you have asked me to do now that I am connected to you. No, never mind. Thanks for $1 million, but I don't ever want to think about you again.
Jeez.
To me, that's harsh.
Yeah.
That's why you're watching the message recap.
Yeah.
Because all that didn't fit in the message. But to me, that is how blaringly obvious and offensive to God it must seem.
So how about this? We didn't have a chance to talk about this in the message, but you were there at one time. So was I. So was Johnny. Where we didn't care.
Yeah.
What was you used the word impetus? What was that starting spark that drew us to starting to care about the mission? Matter of fact, when I was probably 3 years as a Christian, believing in Jesus Christ, I didn't even want to tell other people because I was really afraid. It wasn't until I got baptized, and it's a long story, but for me, it was a process. For me, it was when I was a part of a church. I was just an usher, sweeping, just doing anything. When I saw other people actually go from not knowing God to saying yes to Jesus, but like that, seeing it happen, put in me a desire that I always want to be a part of that. And it doesn't matter what part I played in it. For me, this is just me personally. I've always wanted to be a part of that because it is so eternally life-changing. So how do we get there? Or how, we can just say, well, what kind of a jerk could you be? You think God did those so much? What will it take for us to see? What's it going to take for every one of us to say, this is serious. This is for me, it was seeing that eternity picture. Mm-hmm. Was wow. Now I get it. So I can't go by a day without, you're talking about daydreaming. I daydream daily about how can we reach those people? How can, how, I drive down the street and I just look at cars and I if that person were to crash, are they going to heaven? It's like almost consuming. But to me, that happened when that realization of heaven and hell hit me personally.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to sound like a broken record, but I think it's just the more time I've spent with God, the more, I've been a Christian for, this month will be 20 years. Mm-hmm. It was back in February 2000, or was it 2? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Been a Christian for a long time. I'm not sure I can identify it was this point in time or whatever, but the more I spend time with him, the more I read his word, the more I talk to other people and I'm challenged by what God's doing in their life and how he's shaping them, the more I work. All of that just has a cumulative effect. And I don't, it wasn't like a decision I made. It's just, I don't understand how it could be any other way. Mm-hmm. Like you said, wouldn't you just have, if you spend time with God, the closer you are to God, the more his heart you're going to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. I wonder, and I see in our own lives, be honest with ourselves, we're combating the American dream. We've been so pumped with this idea that we live for comfort or recreation. It seems like that's the driving force of American life. I'm not picking on cabins, it can be motorcycles, hunting, whatever, but we're almost driven to, well, I can spend more time at the cabin and I can reward myself more. I can make my life a little more comfortable because the harder I work, the more money I save, the more of me time I get. And that seems so natural to us. It doesn't seem sinful until we look at the mission of Jesus Christ and take our American glasses off. In other words, if we look at the mission and the purpose of God in our own personal lives, without looking through it of the lens of a good American, I think we'd be shocked on really what the heart of God is for us. And you were talking about doing a series coming up about the promises of Jesus, and some of those promises are shocking. We're
going to do it in November.
Because
as long as the plans don't change, which they might.
I hate it when we can't make a plan and stick to it. I just hate it.
That just totally bugs
Kevin
you.
doesn't like altering his schedule.
Oh, no. Once we said we should go, but I don't know why we would change it. Anyway, there's the backstory to that. But
yeah.
What was I saying? This idea of, I know we think we're good Christians and we're recreating most of the time. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. I think sometimes we're confused with, well, God wants it all or nothing kind of a thing. No, God wants the first, not all. Mm-hmm. He wants the first on our calendar, the first in our prayers, the first in our finances, not all. We live, we enjoy things, but this is my first priority. This is my first dream. This is my first thing.
Oh boy.
Ross
Okay, I'll help you.
Ross is doing some charades for us.
Done, buddy. If you don't know Ross, you're missing out.
Great guy.
He is a great guy.
We should wrap this up.
Okay, we'll wrap it up. It's called Mission Maintenance. Check it out. It was the last message in this series. Go back, watch the entire thing. It's great for our lives. Starting a brand new series next week. So make sure to be back, like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff, and we will see you next week.